Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a rough Vivid Voltage tier list for the first few events, mainly for E&D Season 2, starting off with Qualifier 1. This video should be out before Qualifier 1 is officially up and running for Season 2. So hopefully you guys go and check that one out. That should be super cool. Got some great ideas to make Season 2 bigger and better than Season 1. But let's just get right into this video. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel. Really does help us out. It's completely free. And it really does help us grow our channel. But let's just get right into it. So this is kind of just like my rough tier list ideas. We got new stuff as well as old stuff. Really anything that could be viable is here. Okay, so first deck I've got up, Baby Blue Sablon. I think it's a solid B tier deck. I mean, if we're going all the way down to E tier, plus really bad, I think solid B tier deck isn't consistent enough to be A tier. I think with the right list, it could potentially be E tier, but for now, for me, it's a B tier deck. I feel like it gets beaten by a lot of things. Can get stuck by Marnie really easily. Marnie Stamp, stuff like that. Any heavy control decks, it's really rough. But I think overall it's a solid deck choice. Definitely try it out, although not my personal favorite deck, especially for a best of one. So solid B tier for me. So next we got Green Speedrom, put some D tier. Solid deck. It just is gonna get outpaced by things like Colossal now. Like Superior Box, Excadrill, anything like that. It kind of just loses to you don't have as many options as straight Pigrom. I think true D tier, maybe even like I think D tier is still okay for it because I think just normal Pigrom is just a superior variant of the deck. Next you got Control. Once again, solid B tier deck. If played perfectly, I think it's exceptionally good, but the majority of players will not be able to have it A or S tier and be able to consistently beat things. Also, ADP, you can't consistently beat it. You're not doing well. It's just, unfortunately, how this meta works right now. Yeah, and I think that's kind of just my thoughts on Control. Solid deck. If you know how to play it, play it. But if you don't know how to play it, stay away from it. And if you want to pick it up, then feel free to pick it up, but I personally don't enjoy playing Control, but I know there are certainly people who do enjoy that game plan, and of course, no judgment at all. You play what you like to play, but I think just overall solid B tier deck for most people. Could be A tier if you're very good at it. Okay, so next is gonna be just like straight Mewtwo Mew variants, Mewtwo Welder. We got like Mewtwo, Welder Mewtwo, and Mewtwo Welder. We'll do right now. Okay, so Welder Mewtwo, I think, once again, I think right now it's a solid B tier deck. It's a solid choice, but it loses to stuff like Eternatus. Probably doesn't do super great against some of the new stuff. But I think it's still a solid choice, can hit big numbers. Yeah, that's kind of just my thoughts on the deck. And then Water Mewtwo, I'm going to go ahead and put in D tier as well. It's just outclassed by other Mewtwo variants, like Lapras VMAX. It's just not as good as like Lapras and stuff. Oh yeah, we have Lapras on the tier list. Okay. Get there eventually. Okay, so we got Garchomp Giratina. I think it's solid C tier. Good rogue deck, but it just does not get up there. I feel like you lose to stuff like Baby Lounge, you lose to Mad Party, you lose to like Altaria variants, you lose to Decigoons. I think there's just enough stuff that you lose to that isn't Eternatus and Pigrom anymore, because with like all the new stuff like Colossal, Pikachu, Orbeetle coming out, like it's just going to be very difficult for it to keep up. Although I think it's still a solid choice. Of course, ADP, I'm 100% sure that remains on top. We'll see consistent results. There is no reason ADP is going to see any decline in play. I think absolutely S tier has a chance to beat anything. Currently take a complete auto loss to any decks. Unless they play like an insane hard counter like Latios GX. But I think overall, solid S tier. Easily. Best deck. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Okay, next we got Mad Party. I think it's a solid, like, it's a D tier deck. Like, you don't see it too much. Occasionally it'll get one or two results, but it just is not up there with stuff like Baby Lounge, Excadrill, Mewtwo, or Control, like, whatever. It just is not up there, and that's kind of just how it is for the deck. It's a solid deck sometimes, but loses to ADP, and that is just unfortunate. Yeah, it's like an okay deck. We got Togekiss VMAX, our first new VMAX. So I think it's best played as a control variant. Well, it is kind of like tank, control. You can search for like any two cards you want, which is pretty nice. I just don't think it's super solid. It just doesn't have that damage output. I'm going to put it in C tier. I think it has some good matchups. Still loses to both Pikachus. So, that's kind of just my thoughts. Like, it's okay. Got Orbeetle. I think Orbeetle's a B tier deck. It's definitely solid, but weakness to fire absolutely hurts a lot. Solid spread, solid attack. I think it's pretty good. It's up there with Baby Lounge and Mewtwo right now for me. We got Psychic Mewtwo as well. I think that's a solid C tier deck. It's okay, but it's just slow, and you lose to Eternatus a lot of the time. You can absolutely beat it, but I think if you don't draw well, you can lose pretty easily. And I think it's just a mediocre variant of the deck, like Mewtwo. Another new deck, got Whimsicott. I think it's E tier. Like, one prize decks right now in the meta are just not good. It can't hit like insane amounts of damage or anything. That's kind of just my thoughts. So like it's kind of a meme deck to me. Even like Whimsicott, Garbode, or anything like that, kind of just a meme deck at this point. Amazing Rare Box. I think it actually really has some potential. I'm gonna put it in C tier for now. It could go up or down depending on how the meta shifts. Aerodactyl Glisspod. I think like right now it's not in a good position in the meta. It can still just get beaten. I think like Altaria Box is just a lot better than it right now. So E tier for me. Colossal VMAX. I think it definitely has solid potential. I'm putting it in A tier for now. We'll just see how the meta shapes up for it. I think it has a very solid 2 attacks. It's good against Eternatus and both Pikachus. And I think it's just solid against a lot of the meta. So seems pretty good to me. Seems like it has a good chance against ADP. Seems like a good choice for me. Pikachu VMAX. The VMAX, it honestly just does not seem good. Like, I think it's true D tier. It's just down there. I just don't think it's as good as just straight Speedrom. Which, speaking of which, I'm going to put that in A tier. I think, like, even with the new Colossal, it's still strong. Or maybe, yeah, I'll say B tier. Like, it's good, but it gets a new weakness. And then with Excadrill on the rise, it's kind of just up there. It's just okay. Okay, so Sandaconda, E tier deck, like, it's good, but it loses to ADP, so it immediately drops to D tier, and then it's just not a great deck, so E tier. I wouldn't say it's, like, really bad, because it's still a good deck. You beat Eternatus, you beat Speedrom, you have some solid wins. It just, overall, not the best choice. If you want to play like Sandaconda, you may as well play like Garchomp Giratina. I feel like it's just a better variant of the deck. Okay, so another one price deck. So I think Charizard has a little bit of potential, but I just don't think it's good. It loses to ADP. It probably loses to ADP. You rely on Welder. You're a stage 2. All the signs of an inconsistent deck with not great matchups. So that's kind of just where it sits for me. Like, maybe it'll prove me wrong and, like, it'll actually be busted, but I think it's rough to set up. You require a lot of supporters, which you don't have great search for right now. So I think it could be a nice gimmick deck. Decent late game, it looks like, but not much aside from that. Got Inteleon. I think Inteleon's a solid C tier deck. It's a good choice if you have the right meta. if Pikarom and Pikachu VMAX don't do too well in this meta, then I think it absolutely has a solid chance to get up to B or even A tier, depending on how the meta shapes up for it. Seems like it has an okay like ADP matchup and stuff, so it has that going for it. Next deck gonna be Galarian Darmanitan VMAX. I think the card is okay. Like 200 spread 30 is insane. Weakness to Zacian hurts though. You're obviously relying on Frostmoth, so that's 3 water type VMAXs that we can use with Frostmoth here. Of course, like Lapras VMAX. And I mean, like, it's okay. I think it's solid. You can either play like Struggle Gloves or like Weakness Guard Energy. Like Okozation, don't get Oko'd. Spread is really good. I think it's still solid D tier for me. Like, deck could see some play, but I just don't see it being super good. Next you got Cramorant. Solid E tier for me. Once again, one price deck does not Oko ADP. And that's a loss in my book. It just is not up there. Cool gimmick deck, but really nothing there. Luke Metal, solid A tier for me. I think it beats a lot of the meta except for fire decks, but of course we have that new Metal type Special Energy and like Hero's Bath, which makes it insane. Like, you're tanking 80 damage. Plus no weakness with the Special Energy without losing the consistency with Weakness Guard. Which I think is pretty cool. So definitely solid A tier for me. Definitely gets up there. I think Dragapult definitely has a chance to be good with Colossal VMAX on the rise. I'm going to put it in C tier. Seems like a solid deck. Solid matchups against everything except like Eternatus. If Eternatus is popular, it's D tier. But if it's not, I'd say B or even A tier. I think it's a really good deck. If you, it's a really good deck. So long as you, don't hit too much Eternatus. We got Wailord. It's a solid D tier deck for me. Like, it has the potential to draw hot and do well. But, like, it just is not as good as something... Take, like... you could really play, like, any other water type VMAX. Like, speaking of that, Dreadnought, it's really bad. It sucks. There's no reason to play it over Lapras or Inteleon. Or even, like, Darmanitan at this point. Like, the card is trash. We know that. Okay, Gardevoir VMAX. Okay. So, this is going to sound weird, but I've actually been playing a lot with Gardevoir VMAX as a tank deck. With, like, Cosmic Eclipse of Victini, which is heal 20 on your bench. Malamana, Fish Tomb Food. It actually has been doing really well for me. I wouldn't say it's, like, game-breaking by any means. It's still a solid D-tier deck. But it's a lot better than I initially thought it was. Saw an article on it, been testing it. I think it's pretty cool. Definitely deserves some heavily testing. A creamy B tier, it's okay. Like, there's no reason to play it over anything else, but like, yeah, it's okay. Excadrill, solid B tier for me. Wouldn't say it's A tier. You're not beating ADP, and it is therefore not good. And you're also losing to Luke Metal and ADP pretty consistently. So that's immediately not good for the deck, but everything else seems pretty solid. So I think in Vivid Voltage, it's like I think like it's still a good deck. It will definitely go down though. Next deck gonna be Altaria Box. Solid C tier, or solid C tier for me. It's good. You can beat a lot of things, but as soon as you hit something you're not ready for, you will lose the game. Like, you hit Dragapult, you're done. You hit Amazing Box, you're done. You hit, like, Excadrill, you're done. Or, I guess Excadrill is kind of 50-50. But there's a lot of things you simply cannot beat. And that's just where the deck loses. Like, you'll do great against something like ADP or Luke Metal with no tax, but everything else you will get absolutely destroyed by. Sorry. Spread box, really bad. Samokuna, really bad. Eternatus VMAX. I think it is solid B tier at this point because of the release of Colossal VMAX. I think Colossal is a fantastic card. And Eternatus loses to it, and that's the only reason it's just not up here anymore. Like, hammers are popular, so it just is not going to get up there. I think Decigoons and Altaria Goons, whichever variant you prefer, I think Decigoons is still just better. I think solid B tier, definitely a good anti-meta deck if you're expecting a lot of stuff. Salamence is bad. Aurora Elderbox, I think it's D tier for me. Like, it's not consistent, but it beats a lot of stuff. You don't really have an answer to Colossal right now, so that's just really what hurts the deck the most. I think Centiskorch is still A tier. You beat a lot of stuff. It's relatively consistent. You gain a good matchup in Orbeetle. Luke Metal gets a little more unfavored, but I think it's just solid. Like, it's fine. Trevenant Dusknoir. This is... I think it's kind of the same thing as Rotom. I think they're supposed to represent the same thing, but I think, like, straight Trevenant, not good, but, like, straight Trevenant is bad, but, like, Rotom Mewtwo is C tier for me. Gardevoir Sylveon, it loses to Zacian, so it's just not good. You may as well play Gardevoir VMAX at that point. Roeggs, solid C tier. It's a good deck, but loses to Fire. Lapras VMAX, solid D tier. I think I'll say C tier. I think it's solid, but it's just not great. Vikavolt, E tier. Like, it's an okay deck. I guess you can go like Vikasect. I guess I think it's still kind of E tier for me. And Spiritomb, like, it's an okay pick, but it just is not up there for me. So this is kind of what my tier list is looking like. I think the only thing I forgot is Greedent, which I would say goes in E tier as well. Like, it's an okay deck. It's fine. But, yeah. I think it's, like, it's okay. It's okay. But, I think that's gonna... So, yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this video. I really appreciate you guys watching. Leave your own opinions in the comments below. Let me know what you thought of this video. Make sure to like it, subscribe to our channel. Really does help us out. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.